My wife said, "I don't have to make you happy. It's not my job," thinking she was breaking my heart. But I smiled and replied, "Perfect, because I just got an offer I can't refuse. I'm leaving you." My name is Javier. I am 34 years old and I live in Valencia. For 7 years I was married to Sofia, a woman I thought I knew like the palm of my hand. But one night everything fell apart. We were at home preparing dinner when she dropped those words that still echo in my head. "I do not have to make you happy, Javier." She said it without raising her voice, without hesitation, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. I froze with the knife in my hand, chopping onions. It was not a fight. There was no shouting, just a sentence that cut deeper than any knife. I tried to answer, but the words would not come out. How do you answer the person you love when she tells you that your happiness does not matter to her? For years, I had been the one who gave everything. I organized our getaways to the Costa Blanca. I cooked her favorite dish, seafood paella. I left notes in her purse to brighten her day. But now, in front of her, I realized something. It had never been reciprocal. I was the one carrying the weight of our relationship while she barely lifted a finger. That night I did not argue. I just nodded and went to bed. But something inside me broke. If my happiness was not her problem, why was hers still mine? For the first time in years I asked myself, and what if I stopped trying? And what if for once I put my needs first? The next morning I did not make her coffee. I always did. 2 spoonfuls of sugar, a touch of milk, served in her favorite cup. But that day I got up, got dressed, and went for a run along the Turia. When I came back, Sofia was in the kitchen, confused. "Is there no coffee?" she asked, as if it were my obligation. I shrugged. I forgot. Her surprised look was the first sign that something was changing. She was not used to me breaking the script. The following days were an experiment. I stopped asking her how she was, planning romantic dinners, filling up her car's gas tank. It was not revenge, it was liberation. I joined a gym in the center of Valencia, something I always wanted to do, but that she never supported because it was not necessary. I started meeting up with friends, enjoying nights at the Malvarosa without worrying if she was at home, and, little by little, I noticed that she noticed. One night, I came home late after having some drinks with coworkers. Sofia was on the couch with her phone in her hand, but her eyes were fixed on me. "Where were you?" she asked with a tone that was not curiosity, but unease. "Out," I replied without giving more details. Her face tensed. "You never tell me where you go now." I laughed under my breath. "Since when do you care?" Silence. For the first time, I saw a flicker of doubt in her eyes. The self-assured Sofia, the one who had always taken for granted that I would be there, was starting to falter. A week later, the first twist came. She called me at work, something she never did. "I need you to pick up my dress from the dry cleaners," she said, as if it were an order. In the past, I would have done it without thinking, but this time I said, "I cannot. I am busy." I hung up before she could protest. That night, when I got home, the dress was on the table. She had picked it up herself, but she did not say anything. She just looked at me, waiting for a reaction that did not come. Then came the day of her cousin's wedding in Alicante. I had always assumed I would go with her, that I would smile, dance, and put up with her family's jokes. But this time, when she told me, "We are leaving at 5, I replied, "You go, I have plans." Her face paled. "What plans?" she asked, almost demanding. "An exhibition at the IVM," I said calmly. It was true, but it was also my way of setting a boundary. For the first time, Sofia did not know how to react. She went alone, and I enjoyed my night, free from obligations I never wanted. When she came back, something had changed. There were no reproaches, just silence. But in her eyes, I saw something new, fear. Not fear of losing me, but of losing the control she had always had over me. And that, my friends, was just the beginning. Sofia was not used to losing control, and I, Javier, 34 years old, was beginning to enjoy that feeling. We lived in Valencia and, after her declaration that my happiness was not her problem, I decided to change the rules of the game. I had stopped being the husband who was always there, anticipating her needs, and that unsettled her. But what came next was a twist that not even I expected. 2 weeks had passed since her cousin's wedding that I did not attend. Sofia was still trying to regain lost ground with small gestures. A dinner prepared without me asking questions about my day, even an "I have missed you" that sounded more like a strategy than a feeling. But I was not the same person anymore. I had found a new rhythm. I went for runs in the Turia garden. I signed up for guitar lessons at a cultural center in Rizafa and started working on a personal project I had always postponed, a blog about travels through Spain. For the first time in years, my life did not revolve around her. One night, I came home after a meeting with friends at a bar in Plaza del Cedro. Sofia was waiting for me, something she never did. "Can we talk?" she said, her voice more serious than usual. I sat down, curious. "You are different, Javier. I do not know what is wrong with you, but this is not normal." I tried not to laugh. "Normal? Like when you told me you did not have to make me happy." Her expression changed, as if my words had hit her. "I did not mean that," she muttered. But she did not convince me. Her recent efforts were not out of love. They were out of fear of losing what she had always taken for granted. Then came the first big twist. The next day, checking my email, I found a message from an old friend, Laura, who lived in Barcelona. We had worked together years ago, before I got married. She wrote to tell me that she was organizing a photography exhibition in Valencia and invited me to participate with some photos from my travels. What Sofia did not know was that Laura and I shared a special connection in the past, never romantic, but deep. I accepted without hesitation, seeing an opportunity to reconnect with a part of myself I had forgotten. I told Sofia about the exhibition, expecting an indifferent reaction as always, but her face hardened. "Who is Laura?" she asked with a tone that mixed jealousy and distrust. "An old friend," I replied without giving more details. It was not my intention to provoke her, but her reaction surprised me. For the first time, she seemed worried about someone else in my life. "I do not like you going out so much without telling me who you are with," she said. I just shrugged. "I do not remember you caring before." That weekend, I went to the exhibition. Laura and I spent hours talking, laughing, remembering old times. There was nothing romantic, just the joy of being with someone who valued my passion for traveling and creating. When I got back home, Sofia was awake, waiting for me. "How was it?" she asked, trying to sound casual. "Incredible," I said, and I added nothing more. Her silence was deafening. I knew she was imagining things, but I did nothing to reassure her. It was not my job anymore. Days later, another unexpected twist. My boss offered me an opportunity, a promotion that involved moving to Madrid for 6 months to lead an important project. It was exactly what I had always wanted, but in the past, I would have rejected it for Sofia. This time I did not hesitate. I told her I was considering it, and her reaction was immediate. "Madrid? And what about us?" she exclaimed. I looked at her calmly. "Since when do you worry about what happens with us?" She did not answer, but I saw the panic in her eyes. For the first time, she was facing the idea that I could move on without her. That night, Sofia tried to get closer. She prepared an elaborate dinner, put on soft music, and even suggested a trip together to Granada, something she had never been interested in before. But her efforts came too late. I did not feel anger, only indifference. I had gone from being the man who gave everything for her to someone who was finally living for himself. And she knew it. 3 weeks had passed since I told Sofia I was considering the promotion in Madrid. I, Javier, 34 years old, was still in Valencia, but my life was not the same. I had stopped being the husband who revolved around her, and that had her on the verge of a collapse. Her attempts to win me back were increasingly obvious. Surprise dinners, messages during the day, even an invitation to a weekend in Ibiza that sounded more like desperation than love. But I did not fall into her traps anymore. I had found my own path, and every step I took moved me further away from her. The turning point came on a Friday night. I was at home reviewing photos for the upcoming exhibition with Laura when Sofia suddenly walked in. "We need to talk, Javier," she said with a determination I had not seen in her before. I nodded, expecting another of her tactics to regain control, but what came was unexpected. "I know I have made mistakes," she admitted, her voice trembling slightly. "I did not value you as I should have, but I am willing to change. I want us to go back to how we were before." For a moment, I almost felt pity, but her words were not a sincere apology. They were an attempt to save what was already broken. "How we were before," I repeated, putting my laptop aside. "How we were before was me doing everything for you while you barely noticed my existence." She tried to interrupt, but I raised a hand. "Sofia, you told me my happiness was not your problem. And you were right. It is not. But yours is not mine either. Her face fell, but there were no tears, only a mixture of frustration and defeat. She did not say anything else and left the room. That night I slept on the couch, not for drama, but because I needed space to think. The next day I made a decision. I accepted the promotion in Madrid. When I told Sofia, her reaction was more contained than I expected. "So, you are leaving?" she asked with a tone that tried to be neutral. "Yes," I replied. "It is an opportunity one I'm not going to pass up." For the first time, I did not seek her approval. She nodded slowly, as if she were processing that she no longer had power over me. "We can try long distance," she suggested, almost as a last resort. But I knew there was no going back. The move to Madrid was a whirlwind. I found a small apartment in Malesana, near bars and cafes full of life. My new project at work was demanding, but exciting. At night, I explored the city, attended cultural events, and continued to collaborate with Laura on the exhibition. Every day, I felt like I was recovering a part of myself that I had lost in my marriage. But then another unexpected twist came. One afternoon, I received a message from Sofia. "I need to see you. It is important." Against my instinct, I agreed to meet her at a cafe in Chueca when she came to Madrid for work. When she arrived, she did not look like the confident Sofia I knew. She was nervous, drumming her fingers on the table. "I have been thinking a lot," she began, "and I think I owe you a real apology. I was not fair to you. I want another chance." Her voice was sincere, but something did not add up. There was a glint in her eyes that was not love, but urgency. Before I could answer, she dropped the bombshell. "Also, I am pregnant." The world stopped. My mind was spinning. Pregnant? I did not expect it. Not after everything. "Is it mine?" I asked bluntly. She hesitated for only a second, but it was enough. "Of course it is," she said, but her voice trembled. I did not believe her. Something in my gut told me this was another manipulation attempt, a last card to hold me back. I did not argue. I stood up, paid for the coffee, and said, "I need time to think." That night, I called a lawyer. If there was a child, I wanted proof. I was not going to fall into a trap just because Sofia was desperate not to lose me. The following days were a whirlwind of emotions, but one thing was clear. I would not go back to being the man who sacrificed everything for her. After that conversation at the cafe, I contacted a lawyer specializing in divorces. I told him everything, Sofia's declaration, her doubtful reaction, and my certainty that something was not right. He advised me to act calmly and demand a paternity test if she insisted on the pregnancy. I did not want to be cruel, but I was not willing to let her drag me back into her game either. I wrote her a clear message. "If there is a child, I will do the right thing, but I need proof." Her response was evasive, full of excuses about trust and giving it time. That only reinforced my suspicions. Meanwhile, my life in Madrid continued its course. The project at work was going full steam ahead, and my collaboration with Laura for the photography exhibition kept me motivated. One night, while we were reviewing photos in a bar in Malesana, Laura noticed my distraction. "Is everything okay?" she asked. I told her about the pregnancy, without going into personal details. "Do what you feel is right, but do not let them manipulate you," she told me. Her words resonated. For the first time, someone was encouraging me to protect myself without judging me. Days later, Sofia called me. "I am going to Valencia to visit my family, but I want you to be a part of this," she said, referring to the supposed pregnancy. Her tone was different, less confident, as if she feared losing me completely. I agreed to meet her when she returned, but I made it clear that I would not make any decisions without a DNA test. "It is not necessary," she insisted. "You should trust me." I laughed bitterly. "Trust? Like you trusted me when you ignored my needs for years." I hung up before she could respond. The meeting in Valencia was tense. We met at a cafe near the Plaza de la Virgen. Sofia arrived on time, which was rare for her. She tried to take my hand, but I pulled it away. "Let's be clear," I said. "If you are pregnant and it is mine, I will take responsibility, but I need proof. And if it is not, it is over." Her face changed. For a moment, it seemed like she was going to confess something, but she held back. "I will do it," she said finally, though her voice trembled. We agreed that she would take the test after the birth if it came to that point. The following months were a test of patience. Sofia sent sporadic messages, sometimes affectionate, sometimes accusing me of being cold. I kept my distance, focusing on my work and my projects. The exhibition with Laura was a success, and one of my photos even won a small local award. At night, I would walk through El Retiro, feeling a freedom I had not known in years, but the uncertainty of the pregnancy still lingered, like a shadow. Then came the final blow. One day I received an email from Sophia. There was no pregnancy. It was a mistake, she wrote. I thought I was pregnant, but it was not true. She did not apologize. She just tried to justify her lie. My lawyer confirmed that this was enough to speed up the divorce. I did not feel rage, only relief. Sophia had tried to manipulate me until the end, but I was no longer the man who fell into her traps. I filed for divorce that same week. When I informed her, she tried to call me, but I did not answer. I had learned a tough lesson. My happiness could not depend on someone who never valued it. Madrid, my work, my friends, and my passions were my world now, and for the first time, I felt at peace. The confirmation that there was no pregnancy did not surprise me as much as it liberated me. Sophia had tried to manipulate me one last time, but I was no longer the man who let himself be carried away by her tactics. My lawyer assured me that her written admission was enough to expedite the process. I signed the documents in an office near Atocha, and when I left, I felt a weight lifted. It was not joy but calm. For the first time in years, my future depended only on me. Sophia did not give up immediately. Over the following weeks, she sent me messages, some pleading, others accusatory. You cannot throw away 7 years, she wrote once. I replied with a single line. You did it first. She did not reply. I think deep down she knew she had lost something she never valued. She tried to contact me by phone, but I stopped answering. It was not out of resentment, but because there was no point in staying tied to someone who never truly saw me. My life in Madrid flourished. The project at work kept me busy, but it also gave me a purpose. I was officially promoted to team leader, and my colleagues organized a dinner to celebrate at a restaurant in Lavapiés. Amidst laughter and glasses of wine, I realized how much I had changed. I was no longer the man who rushed home to please Sophia. Now I lived for myself, and that made me better for others. My passion for photography also grew. The exhibition with Laura was just the beginning. We continued to collaborate, and she encouraged me to open a social media account to share my photos of travels around Spain. An image of the sunset at the Albufera in Valencia went viral, and I soon received an offer to publish a small photo book with a local publisher. It was not a fortune, but it was a dream I would never have pursued if I had remained trapped in my marriage. One night, while walking through El Retiro, I received an unexpected call. It was my sister Carmen, who lived in Alicante. Sophia was at Mom's house, she said. I remained silent, waiting. She tried to convince us to get you to talk to her, but I told her you had already moved on. Carmen had always been direct. You did the right thing, Javier. Do not look back. Her words reaffirmed me. My family, although they did not always say it, had seen how I wore myself out for Sophia for years. The divorce was finalized 3 months later. It was a quiet process, without drama or confrontations. Sophia did not fight for anything. I think she knew she had no arguments. We signed at a notary's office in Valencia, and when we left, she looked at me as if she wanted to say something. I hope you are well, she murmured. I am, I replied, and I meant it. There were no long goodbyes or empty promises. I simply turned around and walked away. I returned to Madrid that same night, and the next day I woke up with a feeling of absolute freedom. I decided to celebrate in my own way. I organized a solo trip to Granada. I walked through the Alhambra, took photos of its courtyards, and got lost in the streets of the Albayacin. In a small bar, while having a tinto de verano, I wrote on my blog, "Happiness is not something someone gives you. It is something you build yourself." That sentence summed up everything I had learned. Months later, I received a final message from Sophia. I hope you are happy, she wrote. There was no trace of the previous manipulation, just a resignation that did not move me. I replied with a single word. Yes. And I was. I had found my place in the world, not in a person, but in myself. My friends, my work, my guitar, my travels, my photos, that was my life now. And no one, ever again, would tell me that my happiness was not their problem. The lesson was clear. When someone takes you for granted, it is not your job to keep proving your worth. Sometimes the greatest revenge is to live well without looking back. And as the sun set over Madrid, I knew I had made it.